Hello and welcome to AI Compass, the podcast series for companies who are looking to move beyond surface-level AI adoption towards enterprise-wide integration. Produced by Reuters Plus in partnership with KPMG, I'm your host Chloe Tilley, and I'll be interviewing executives from around the world focused on maintaining momentum amid today's AI transformation. In this episode, we'll be drawing upon the latest insights from KPMG's quarterly Global AI Pulse survey in 2026 that finds organisations confident in their talent pipeline are already 4 times more likely to report meaningful business value. It seems the gap between those pulling ahead isn't just about the technology, it's about the people. We'll be exploring what leaders need to get right on the human side of AI, the governance, the culture and the workforce conditions that's enabling AI to become deeply embedded in operations. Well, I'm delighted to be joined for today's discussion by Sarah Bird, the Chief Product Officer of Responsible AI at Microsoft. And also with us is Samantha Gloede, Global Head of Risk Services and Global Trusted AI Leader at KPMG. Welcome to you both.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Chloe. I'm so happy to be here.
Sam, if I can come to you first. KPMG's recent research shows a strong uptake and growing confidence in AI's potential, but far fewer organisations feel ready to coordinate agents across functions or workflows. From your perspective, what breaks down as organisations move from deploying individual agents to orchestrating AI at an enterprise level?
Yeah, Chloe, I think it's a really good question. And I think what the AI Pulse survey makes really clear is that it's not really the technology that's the problem, it's the enterprise itself. And I think what we're seeing is enterprises are doing a pretty good job at deploying agents in sort of individual functions, but it's when those agents sort of flow across functions through multiple workflows that their enterprise processes are not really set up for that yet, and that's where we're seeing quite a bit of the challenge. I think we're seeing operating models are still siloed, governance models are fragmented, and accountability becomes unclear when the agents are working across different functions and different workflows. And what the AI Pulse survey really made clear is that the confidence and the adoption is high, but only 11% of organisations are seeing the ability to drive enterprise scale adoption and value. And so I think that, with great confidence, there is excitement, but there's a lot of work to be done to make sure that the deployment can be successful across the enterprise.
So what do the organisations that scale AI successfully understand about trust that others still miss?
Yeah, well, look, I am living and breathing this every day. My main job is the Global Head of Risk Services for KPMG globally, but I would like to say one of my favourite clients right now is KPMG as client zero. And I'm really able to speak to this by example. And I think that an important way to think about this is we can't slow down innovation, but we absolutely have to speed up governance. And that's how I'm really trying to focus that at KPMG. I think that leading organisations are scaling AI successfully because they have trust built in by design, and the governance is built into the workflows and the decision making, how agents are built and deployed from day one rather than sort of being bolted on at the end. And governance is not sort of a compliance check just before deployment. It is absolutely built in through the entire AI lifecycle, from ideation to development, right through to deployment into production, and then how the AI is sort of governed and observed as it is operating in the enterprise. And I think that that's a really important distinction, that it is built in by design rather than bolted on at the end.
Many organisations say that they've got AI governance in place, but far fewer can explain how it works when agents are operating across business units. What would you say distinguishes governance that genuinely enables scale from governance that essentially slows it down?
Yeah, look, I think when an organisation sees governance as kind of that speed bump or the roadblock rather than as the engine to drive speed, that's where the problem lies. And so it's really important that governance is built in from day one, that you have a really broad cross-section of stakeholders across the enterprise, from risk and legal and security and privacy to the business functions to technology, that they're all part of the design and the ideation of the technology, so that all of the guardrails are built in by design. It means that when they go into deployment in production, that there is no need to sort of relitigate, to remediate issues, but it's ready to go. And now we also have incredible technology that allows us to have always on monitoring and observability of agents and of AI, so that you can always see, are they operating in alignment with their intended use? If they're not, you can get alerts, you can sort of bring them back into alignment, and also make sure you've got the right security controls, the right identity access management. And so if you build all of that in from the start, it just accelerates the innovation and the entire AI lifecycle, and frankly provides better technology to the users at the end of that.
KPMG's AI research has consistently shown that talent and workforce readiness are decisive. Beyond training people on new tools, what are organisations doing to build confidence in how AI agents support decision-making and day-to-day work?
Yeah, I mean, the workforce considerations are absolutely a critical part of an enterprise AI transformation, and we see that ourselves as well. It's a really important part of the strategy. And I think what's really important is that organisations are not just upskilling and training their employees on how to use the tools, but they're actually redesigning how work gets done. And I think that, of course, the upskilling is critically important, but it needs to be more than just the literacy of how to use the tools, but also how to understand how to ethically and responsibly interact with the tools, how to make sure that you are using critical thinking and professional judgment, understanding how human oversight appropriately fits into the loop of how the AI is working. And so I think it has to be a very intentional approach to how do we augment the workforce, the human workforce, with AI to augment and get the best outcomes from AI, but not replace human judgment and professional responsibilities. And so I think if it's this combination of the right fluency and literacy with the right sort of workforce redesign, it's going to drive the best outcomes. And also, I think more trust in the workforce to use AI and to be transparent about when and how they are using it, and not hide it and use it for the best outcomes for them and their roles.
Many leaders want to move faster on AI agents. In the Pulse, though, the research shows premature scaling can significantly increase risk. What signs indicate that an organisation is ready to scale agents across the enterprise?
Yeah, I mean, I think that a really good sign is that an organisation isn't just adopting AI, they are actually orchestrating it to solve really high value problems for the organisation. And when they've identified what those high value problems are, it needs to be a really holistic investment and strategy into their AI transformation that includes trust, of course. That's I think most important part, but I might be a little bit biased there, but making sure that trust is designed at the foundation, that the workforce strategy is really well considered, and that there is good connection between the technology strategy with the business needs, the value that it's going to drive, and that is built on that foundation of trust. And something that, we say at KPMG and our own strategy is to be bold, fast, and responsible with AI. And I think that it is intentionally provocative. It's hard to be all three. But I don't think that you can be bold in innovation and fast in sort of recognising the value and driving enterprise scale if it's not built on that foundation of trust.
Thanks, Sam. It's really interesting to get your view on the holistic integration of AI. Sarah, if I can turn to you, trust is the theme of this episode and something I imagine is very important to Microsoft.
Yeah, absolutely. We started investing in responsible AI more than a decade ago because we knew nobody's going to want to use a technology that they can't trust.
An organisation with the scale of Microsoft is one few can match, and AI is deeply deployed in your workflows. What has that internal experience taught you about the conditions that have to exist before AI can genuinely be trusted at enterprise level?
Yeah, we've learned so much through the journey. And, what I think is most important first is the right leadership buy-in and culture to actually invest, to actually have the hard conversations. Then you need to put structures in place, like a decision body that can make the right trade-offs for the organization. And you need tools. They have to be integrated in your workflows, part of your everyday engineering process, or it's just not going to happen.
There are some fears that responsible AI is becoming a compliance checkbox rather than an actual meaningful commitment. From your perspective, what separates organisations that treat it as a genuine operating principle from those that treat it maybe as a reputational exercise?
Yeah, I love this question. This is something that my team thinks about every single day in our work because it's so easy to just go through the motions and say, okay, we ran the test and we, have the incident response plan, but not actually make the products better for customers, which is the ultimate goal. And so if we just take the example of testing, you can run a really generic test and the results can come out well. But to build a high quality test that really exercises the risk in your systems and really tests the safety, to give you meaningful results to improve the system, that's something that you have to invest in, you have to build custom, you have to constantly improve as the technology gets better. And so that type of thing is the difference I see between checkbox compliance and really investing in meaningful safety outcomes in your systems.
So we heard Sam talking just now about how good governance needs to be built in by design rather than bolting on at the end. And many organisations say they have AI governance in place, but far fewer can demonstrate how it holds up when agents are operating across multiple business units at speed. I'm interested from a tech provider's perspective. What does governance that genuinely supports scale require of the tools and the systems themselves, not just the policies built around them?
Yeah, it's impossible to do this without tools. We find that you need observability everywhere. When these systems are going wrong, the details actually matter. The second thing is you need real controls. I don't want to just observe an agent and watch it go off the rails. I want to stop it. We also have to add additional security controls in place. So for example, in your organization today, all of your users and devices have an identity. Agents need an identity too so that they can be governed and controlled in the same way. And then finally, you don't want to just have one agent or two agents. Most organizations are looking at having thousands of agents, which means you need to be able to do all of this at scale. So you need intelligent alerting and threat intelligence and all of this to tell you where to look. Where is something broken that you actually need to go fix? And so we're building all of these pieces to work together for agents, for our organization, and for our customers.
Sam talked about building employee confidence in how AI agents support decision making. What does Microsoft's own experience tell you about what shifts that from positions of skepticism, maybe uncertainty, to ones of genuine trust?
Yeah, I think the first foundation of this is knowing that the technology was built in the right way. And that's where responsible AI is so important. But that's not enough. You also want to actually understand how it works and have control over it. And so the user interface design and the right level of transparency that's meaningful to a user is important as well. And then it actually also takes time, right? It's not just about how the AI works. It's about how AI and the human work together. And so experience using the technology, understanding where it works, where it doesn't work, and how it's really going to be put into practice to help you accomplish what you want to is so important.
And finally, any thoughts on how organisations can close the gap between their own AI ambitions and value realisation?
This is absolutely the question of the moment because this technology is fun because it's so easy to create a demo, but it takes a lot more to really put it in production and have it work in every use case, every time so that you can trust it. And that's the journey we see organizations on. And the sophisticated ones are adopting testing systems and governance controls and iterating rapidly with feedback loops so that they can understand where the system's not working and make adjustments and actually deliver value to their customers.
Sarah Bird, Sam Gloede, thank you so much for your insights today. Well, it seems the organisations forging ahead are deploying both more technology and investing differently in the people using the new technology. The companies to watch are creating the right conditions in which people feel equipped to work confidently alongside new AI capabilities. I do hope you'll join me again for the next episode of AI Compass, where we'll be looking at how companies are adopting the build, buy and borrow approach to scaling an agentic enterprise. I'm Chloe Tilley. Goodbye for now.